everyone. Namaste. Namaste to all our guests.
Namaste.
So today we thought that as this is a very important month of February, which is a Black History Month, we have been reading, knowing in bits and pieces. So what we thought that why not we have someone who are living and breathing in that and who are eminent. Some of them are senior leaders from African American community and many of them are eminent speakers. You will hear from them. So we thought that why not welcome them and at least hear from them in our Shaka setting, in an informal setting about the importance of this month. And more important is how the race theory, how we work closely with each other, the collaborations between different communities as we are living, and many things which we do, it is good for them to come and see and also share their experience. So with that, one very important thing which we always emphasize when we talk to other community friends is, I have discussed with many of you, like Vasudeva Kutumbakam, what we call as world is one family. So as a part of that whole concept, we wanted to see, how we can know more about you, more about this month, and more important is how do we draw a cultural inspiration as we take it forward. So with that, I invite Mr. Berry, who has been our key partner, to introduce the speakers, and then we will have a session. Thank you.
Am I saying this right, Namaste? Yes. Good morning. I am so very and thoroughly excited to be here with you today. More importantly, so I wholeheartedly embrace the concept of one family. Simply because we are all one family, and in a word, we all bleed red. And hopefully, through today's presentation, we'll see the importance of all of our cultures, of all of our relationships, and all of our love and respect for one another. There's a guy at the African American Museum. His name is Donald Payton. First African American family to move to Dallas, Texas in 1847. And he talks about how his family walked from Independence, Missouri to Dallas, Texas. He's a historian of sorts, and I encourage you to visit the museum if you want. One of the things you'll see there is folk art. Things that were thrown away, soda bottles, cans, pieces of wood that the then American black man used to make art. So it's because of that that our first presenter, who is an artist in his own right, is going to speak to us. He is an accomplished author, an accomplished musician, travels and works with jazz artists and has all his life. He is a church planter, a man of integrity and high character. I'd like to introduce Eric Willis.
Thank you. Good morning to you. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm going to play something for you. Symphony. He was a Russian composer. And when he came to America, he came to New York. And he took a notion to travel to the south. So Georgia, South Carolina. And he got down into that part of the country and he realized for the first time the Negro spirituals. He heard African American songs, church songs, like Swing Low, Sweet Chariot, and Going Home. And he was so moved by it. He came to America to do his first composition, the New World Symphony. And he wanted to write this composition to talk, to show in art form this beautiful new nation. And he had no idea that when he got to the South that he was going to be profoundly changed. And in that composition, he put Swing Low, Sweet Chariot, which is a Negro spiritual. It says this: swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. And these were compositions because the weight of the way black people lived. They longed to go home and be with God rather than live under the oppression of slavery. What I discovered over my period here is that art has the ability to make a change in society. For the chaos that we are seeing right now in the world, it is art. And so it must be artists who create the change. And where does that come from? Art has the ability, it has the power to move people in ways. It brings unity and harmony. So what I heard today, I'd never heard before, that you see us as one world, one people. I would never know that without the opportunity to be here in your presence and understand that. But art also brings unity, but it also brings harmony. Harmony is that even though we are divided or different, we work well together. That's what harmony does for us. Art informs us. Visual arts can move us in ways that doesn't require words. And so works of art, graphic arts, even architecture. I presume that what we'll discover today in the temple and the architecture is going to move us in ways that does not require words. This is what art does for us. And when we use words, if we use it in language arts in poetic ways, we can convey ideas and get outcomes that we might not otherwise get if we said it directly. Here's an example. I was on a phone call with a civil servant, somebody who worked for the city of Dallas, and they were extremely rude. And at the end of the conversation, I apologized in poetic form. I said, I apologize that you were unable to comprehend the words and thoughts that I attempted to convey to you. And for that, I am deeply sorry. Do you know, he accepted my apology graciously, and he made my day. Because if I had said it directly, I would have said, you have very low comprehension. Your 9th grade English scores, you probably flunked, and you never recovered from that day since. And yet I was just saying, hey, I'm sorry. I'm communicating in a way that you don't understand, and I apologize. And he said, it's okay. Accept your apology. So in poetic form, we have ways to convey thoughts and ideas through our artistic endeavors. So with Dvorak coming to America to compose and being influenced by that music, what it did for me, I recognized that African Americans have brought music, a kind of music to the world that never existed before. Do y'all know what that music is? It's called jazz. Somebody said it. Jazz. And what it is, there's a scale, it's a minor scale. You know, that scale existed. What African Americans brought to it was this note. That's called the blue note. That's where we get the blues from. So That's what jazz is. And so what we did, we took the scales that existed in the world and we brought our own cultural flavor to it and ended up taking those scales. Everything I played is just a bunch of scales. The chord change. And then we took it and we mixed all those notes together. So it created this whole new way of communicating. And now schools all over America, all over the world, are teaching jazz programs. You can get a degree in this thing that just came up out of our soul and our spirit. So there's something for us, for my spiritual paradigm, we see the world I'll just share it with you. We see numbers. For musicians who understand this, we see the world like this. We have a triune God in my religious paradigm. So when we play this note, those three notes represent the triune God for us. 4 is the creation. So every time we play this note, we think of God being the creator who created the heavens and the earth, or the 4 corners of the earth. 5 is preeminent pitch. This is the pitch that no matter how many notes you play, this note rings out more predominantly than any other. And in my culture, this note, if I be lifted up, this is the note that draws men's hearts. So if you ever sing for a competition, if you go on The Voice, hit note number 5. If you want to win, hit note number 5. Watch this. And the land of the free and the home of the brave. That's 5 right there. If you want to win a competition, sing note number 5. 6 represents man's number. So right next to preeminent pitch and the creator, the creation of the world, is man's number. And so every time we play note number 6, we think about our creator creating us. And 7 for us is the number of completion. It perfects everything. And when you realize the scale, that scale is complete. When you play this next note, it is new beginnings because it's this note all over again. And so anytime I play, I see God, I see the creator, I see myself, man, I see perfection, and it gives me the opportunity to play in such a way that if I don't write words to my songs, they still have meaning, and they have a deeper meaning. So art is an icebreaker for us. It is I don't know how many times I have looked at your culture and like outside a window shopper, I wanted to ask questions. I just didn't want to make a fool of myself. And so I would not engage. And I didn't know how, because I'm socially inept to begin with. So my son was 5 years old, and he had a friend named Rajesh. And Rajesh invited him to his birthday party. So I guess, well, if my son got an invitation, there are going to be a whole lot of different kinds of people, and I couldn't be more wrong. Got to that door, 5-year-old, he sees Rajesh, and they run off into that house, and they're gone. Now I'm stuck by myself. And I walk in that house. And it's like everybody here is of the same culture except me. And they don't know what to do with me, and I don't know what to do with them. So they invite me to sit on the sofa. And it was awkward, so I sat on the sofa, and now I'm watching Bollywood movies. And so I just say to myself, you know what, I'm not going to sit here with all this culture in this room and watch these movies, and now all I know is, the bigger symbols and the dance and the people. I mean, it was good. Don't get me wrong, they were dancing on the beat and the moves were cool. I've never seen moves like that before. But I thought, okay, I'm going to ask some questions. And the first thing I noticed was the women were on that side of the room like this, and the men were, and I'm like, I don't understand that. And so I look at the oldest guy. I'm going to find the elder in the room, and I'm going to talk to the elder. because I think that's what you do. I don't know. But anyway, I asked him about it, and he began to talk to me. And it was that moment when I asked him about his culture, they never stopped talking. And so, I don't mean like that, but I mean, it gave us the opportunity to have what art has is the ability. If we recognize, here's the other thing that I believe, that not only are there works of art, that humankind, we are works of art. So if we talk to each other about culture, it is the first opportunity to begin to break the barriers that have never been broken before, because we feel inept or we feel unsuitable. Sometimes I have learned from that day forward to walk up to a person and say, I don't know how to ask this. I may make a fool of myself, but I want to learn, because I left that party with more information and I felt greater about the world because I had been expanded in my understanding. So for our culture to just be able to bridge ourselves into the world as you see it, it'll make the world a better place. Thank you.
I'd like to thank Eric. I'd like to thank all of you, especially you young people, because I watched your eyes focus on him the entire time. And I know we have generations of one family here, and I appreciate that. One of the things we miss in our culture is family. Our family were disjointed. And when we talk about obstacles, it's not the integrity, it's not evil intent. We've got to understand what the real obstacle as people of culture, all cultures, need to overcome. And you will discover it's really economic. People aren't trying to run the world or control the world because of skin color and language. They're all trying to make more money. And so for our next speaker, he's going to talk to us about the economics. He's going to talk to us about the blessings. He's going to help us understand that, I don't know if you know this being in Texas, but the people that used to move the cowboys, the people that used to move the cattle, there were the blacks that were called boys at the time, and those boys managed the cattle, and that's where we got the word cowboy. But it became so popular that everybody's got a pair of boots and a hat today. Doug Jones.
Hey, greetings. Hey, listen, that was phenomenal. Let's give Eric another. Hey, listen, this morning I'm so elated to be here before you today. In my time of meditation, seeking on what can I bring today from a cultural expression of who I am, but dive a little bit deeper into the depths of this family that we see here today. We are one. We are one, and today I just want to see if I can give you a little bit better understanding from a cultural expression, as Carl said, from a spiritual, economic, and from a cultural place. As I sit before you today, I had to take notes. I'm generally one who could, you mind if I do? Sure. I'm not going to. To reiterate the power that's in this room I see today, I feel the synergies of unity. It's a very difficult thing for me to come from one perspective of my culture, simply because of the dynamics of what this expression here has even kind of took my little notes to a whole different level. But as I stand before you, I can't help but think of many of you, I know we should all know the Martin Luther King Jr., Dr. Martin Luther King, you know him. And, as we talk about Black history, as we talk about me from a perspective, I don't look at Black history as Black History Month. For me, it's a lifestyle. So this month, it can't do justice to the depths of who we are from a cultural experience and expression as we try to dive into what is this all about? What is, as we are seated here today, we really look alike, guys. Okay, so we are brothers and sisters. Okay, we are. But to get to the point here, if I were to just borrow some of the words of Martin King or his thoughts, he might focus on the importance of nonviolence in America, social justice and equality. He might encourage us today to work for the rights of marginalized, oppressed groups and recognize the humanity and worth of all people, regardless of the caste or the religion. You know what caste is. And he might also draw on his own Christian faith to emphasize the commonalities between the different religions and to encourage mutual respect and understanding. He once said, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." I believe overall Martin King's message will likely be one of hope, compassion, and a call to action. That's what we're doing here today. This is action. We're unifying. And we're coming together for the common cause to see what can we do for humanity. What can we do as we cross the cultural barriers, the religious barriers? I call them barriers simply because it's division. They are there to divide us. But we must understand that we must come together in unity as one. But I want to share on the importance of Black history from a spiritual, economic, as Carl said, and a cultural standpoint. And I will be very brief here with you today. I tried to reference a scripture that would be relevant to the subject, and I discovered that Black history is such a complex and multifaceted topic that can't be fully captured by any one scripture. So I want to share Psalms 133:1. It says, "Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity." Black history has a profound impact on the United States from a spiritual, economic, and cultural standpoint. From slavery to the civil rights movement, African Americans have faced centuries of oppression and discrimination, yet have persevered and made significant contributions to America's society in a variety of fields. As you see here, Eric, with the culture from the musical standpoint here. From a spiritual standpoint, Black history has played a critical role in the development of African American churches, which have served as a spiritual home for Black communities. These churches not only provide a space for worship, but also serve as a hub for activism and resistance against slavery and the Jim Crow laws and other forms of racial injustice. For example, many civil rights leaders, as I stated, including Martin Luther King Jr., were ministers and used their pulpits. Listen, guys, in the day of Martin Luther King, the church was used to bring together the common cause of unification, not just of African American, but as I was watching one of his videos last night, he was concerned about Indians, for example. He was concerned about Japanese and Chinese. He was concerned about all of mankind. Most of all, he was concerned about humanity. So there were The church was used for the dynamics of bringing together unity, not just religion. Not just me as a believer or Christian, I call myself a believer because even calling myself a Christian at times it could bring such a dynamics of division. But as a believer, it opened up the floodgate for a relationship that I can't get without understanding the dynamics of the unification of being a believer. So here we see the African American churches, they continue to play a vital role in the spiritual lives of black people, providing a source of strength and hope and inspiration. And from an economic standpoint, black history has a profound impact on American society. Despite facing systematic barriers to economic opportunity, African Americans have made significant contributions to the American economy through entrepreneurship, through innovation, and hard work. African Americans are great innovators, just like many of you are in this room. There's doctors in this room, there's engineers in this room. The dichotomy that's in this room, there's so many different dimensions of intellect that as we work together for the common cause to build America, as we look around here today, there's so many areas where African Americans have made such an impact on America. So we see here we have black-owned businesses have played a critical role in revitalizing urban and suburban communities, creating jobs and providing important goods and services to their nature. And then from a cultural standpoint, Black history has shaped the fabric of America's society in the countless of ways. As I stated with Eric, from music and art to literature and film, the Black culture has had a profound influence on American culture as a whole. Here we see the different genres, as Eric stated today. I have to reference this because I know that when David stands up, it's gonna be a flow here. We're gonna be on the same page. I was surprised to see Eric bring out his keyboard here today and bring culture from this perspective. But here we see, but culture has shaped the sound of American music and continue to inspire artists and musicians around the world. I want to leave you with this. You may appreciate the spiritual resilience of African American community and their unwavering commitment to justice and equality. In Hinduism, with its emphasis on karma and dharma and the pursuit of moksha, shares many similarities. As we were talking in the back, we share many similarities. It's not that big of a difference of who we are as a people. Our culture, our foods, the taste of our foods is such an expression of who we are culturally. So even in our foods, we cook with many flavors, and the textures of our food is similar. You know, when I eat an Indian food, it's similar in taste. It's similar in the ingredients. So from that perspective, we share many similarities with the spiritual beliefs of other African Americans. Additionally, Hinduism, like African American spirituality, has faced centuries of oppression and discrimination, yet has persevered and continued to play a vital role in the spiritual lives of millions of people around the world. In my conclusion, Black history has had a profound impact on the United States from a spiritual, an economic, a cultural standpoint. Despite centuries of oppression and discrimination, African Americans have persevered and made significant contribution to the American society in various fields. From the development of African American churches to the contribution of Black-owned businesses, from the influences of Black culture and American music, the arts, and to the resilience of the Black community in the face of adversity. Black history is the testament and the strength and the perseverance of the African American people. As I take my seat, I wanted to leave you with this. As Psalms 133 says, how good and how pleasant This is a very pleasant experience for me today and my lovely wife here. How good and how pleasant it is. Good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell. To dwell. I love that word there, dwell. That means that we're going to stay unified. We're going to work together for the common cause. Dwell together in unity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. G. You notice I called him Doug, I called him Dr. G, I called him Dr. Jones. That's because he's such a diverse man, he has to be called by many things. Mahesh told me about the work you're doing with the American Indian and how many similarities there are. And one of the things I want to bring to your thought process today, how are you going to feel when I show up at your house this afternoon and I say, thank you, I like this place. And I go home and I tell my friends, I discovered a new house in McKinney. We're going to move in. Because that's what happened to the American Indian. People were released from prison in England, a lot of them, and they came to the United States and they discovered America, a country that was already full of people. How do you discover your house? So for that reason, we've got to understand again this issue, the obstacles are nothing but fuel, the things that we have to overcome in order to get where we're going. And the obstacle of the importance of money is something that we need to be very careful about. Because we'll talk about drugs for a minute, real quickly. The United States started on the war of drugs, and for the last 100 years, 19% of the drug dealers have been black. But they've been 67% of the people that were arrested. What happened to the other 81%? Well, they were affiliated with judges and police officers and people that had a lot of money. And the people in control know you can't attack the money, so the war of drugs became a war on black drug dealers, but not on drugs. It happened even earlier than that. In the 1915, there was a movie came out called The Klansman. The Klansman was because the blacks had been freed and the people that lost the war were having trouble financially. So they decided that they would say you're not free though if you've been arrested. And they would arrest people for vagrancy and crossing the street in the wrong way. And the Capitol, the president then, and the Congress decided they're going to change the name of that movie for The Klansman to Birth of a Nation. Birth of a Nation. And what they said was that we got to watch the African American because he's a rapist, he's a drug dealer, he's a sexual predator. We got to be careful. And again, it was about money. We got to keep them working. We got to keep the North and the South united. We got to let these blacks still go to work, so we're going to arrest them and put them in jail and let them go to work. And there we come up with another level of marginalized community. So our next speaker has a lot to tell you about overcoming things that we have got to pursue together. And we've got to know what the obstacle is. The obstacle is not moral intent. The obstacle is greed. The obstacle is about stuff. And with the stuff today is David Gathers.
So everyone has showed their musical prowess. So it would be befitting that I show you mine as well before I get started. That's all I got. So, we're talking about Black History Month. And the reason why we're talking about Black History Month, because black is beautiful. Black is something to be in awe of. Black is amazing. Black is wonderful. Black is outstanding. Black is to be reverenced. Black is to be something praised. Do you know why? Because in spite of us living in America, and in spite of what they might have us to think, colored people are the most powerful and the most intelligent people on the face of the earth. And so when I talk about colored people, I'm talking about myself. I'm talking about you. And I'm talking about all the people in the world who all of us have this melanin in our skin. See, they try to have conversations and they try to set up laws and they try to make us think that this skin that we're in is no good. But in all actuality, it's the most beautiful thing that was created on this earth. The skin that we're all in. Now, we come in different hues. I'm being one of the darkest of us, and some of you all being a little lighter, but we all have the melanin in our skin. And because we're here, all of us face obstacles. And the number one reason why we face the obstacles that we face, unfortunately, is because of the color of our skin. But as my colleagues have stated today, we are more similar than we are different. Me and Mahesh was just in the back, and we put our arms together, and we was like, hey, our skin is completely the same. We have the same nose structure. We have the same ear structures. We have the same deep-setted eye structure. We have the same jawline and structure. Our struggles are the same. You know, we're trying to overcome. We're trying to persevere. We're trying to excel. We're trying to become excellent in the things that we do. And as we do this, and as we continue to pursue the goal of success, or the pinnacle of success, or trying to just get to another place that's better than where we are, we face obstacles. We face roadblocks. We face difficulties. But one thing I want to share with you today is no matter what you face on this journey of life, no matter what is in front of you, no matter the adversity, no matter the barriers, no matter the challenges, do not allow it to make you doubt the path or the journey. Do not allow it to make you doubt the path or the journey. No success comes without obstacles. No success comes without difficulty. No success comes without having to face a few challenges. But if you keep your eye focused on the journey, if you keep your eye focused on the end goal, it will be the motivation, it will be the fuel, it will be the driving force to help you overcome anything you face. All of us have faced something. Now, our challenges might not all be the same, but the one thing that is the same is our willingness to survive. our willingness to survive. And we're not surviving just for ourselves. We're surviving for those who are coming behind us. Because these young children right here in the front, they deserve to grow up in a country, in a community where they have all the freedoms and all the rights to be whoever it is they choose to be. And the only way that they will be successful in doing that if they watch us overcome our struggles. If they watch us be successful no matter what. If they watch us take a stance and say, no matter what I'm facing, no matter how hard it gets, no matter how weak I become, I'm going to persevere. I'm going to forge ahead, and I'm going to become successful. Because the legacy that we really want to leave in our colored culture, we want to leave a legacy of perseverance. We want to leave a legacy of hope. We want to leave a legacy of empowerment. Most of you came here to America because you wanted something greater. And no matter what you face, continue to strive for that greatness. I remember about 9 years ago, I was having a conversation with a man as I was walking down the corridor. And as I was walking down this corridor with this man, he told me that I would be a failure. He told me I would be a failure. This was 9 years ago. He told me I would be a failure. He told me that I would never be successful in anything. And he told me that because of the color of my skin. So let me just tell you what I did the last 9 years. First of all, I took those words, and I used them as power, I used them as fuel, and I used them as motivation. And so over the last 9 years, when I started this journey, all I had was a high school diploma. We're talking the last 9 years. All I had was a high school diploma. 2015, I started my first business. 2016, I graduated with a bachelor's degree. 2018, I started my second business. 2019, I graduated with a master's degree. 2019, I started my third business. 2021, I published a best-selling book called Weekday Remedies. I took everything that man told me 9 years ago, and I used it as fuel to become who I am today. You talking about So I know what it feels like to be doubted. And I know what it feels like to face persecution. I know what it feels like to have to defy the odds. I know what it feels like to have to overcome things that you face in life for various reasons. One, because you don't have the money. One, because of the color of your skin. One, because you're not educated. One, because of your community. Whatever it is. My encouragement to you young people today is, no matter what, never give up. Never give in. Never quit. Because your success is on the other side of the difficulties you face today. Your success is on the other side of the difficulties you face today. So, if you don't remember anything else, just remember, never give up, never quit, and never give in. Thank you all for listening. I'm David.
I'd like to thank my colleagues for everything they had to offer. I learned something, I hope you did too. When you go to the African American Museum, Donald Payton's going to take you to the Freedman Cemetery. Okay? And they're going to teach you about the National Negro Spiritual Hymn, Lift Every Voice and Sing. But the hymn is not just for the Negro. It's about pride, spiritual fervor, and civic responsibility. That's why we're here today, to join with our family in moving forward and overcome our skin and unite in our heart. Turn it back over to my brother. My brother.
So thank you so much, Mr. Berry. I don't think there could have been a better session where so much was a learning for me, and I'm sure for each one of them. And every session started with Mr. Derek Willis and then Mr. Jones and David. In such a short session, I just thought that maybe, you will continue speaking, and it's so nice. And it's amazing to see the journey of your 9 years. So thank you all, and thank you so much to understand, how we can embrace each other and work together as we move forward. This is just the beginning. There is a lot more to be done, and thank you so much, both the ladies guests, and we are delighted for you to be here. And once again, thank you all. I know that you extended the stay, but I'm sure it will be worth it. Some of these words will remain with us for long. It was truly inspirational. That was what we were thinking. It was much more than that. It was inspirational. So thank you. Since we said world is one family, what we'll do, we'll have one common picture with all of us.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, we can just.